Hello everyone. In this video, we begin book 2 of class 12 history with the lesson through the eyes of travelers. This lesson helps us understand how outsiders observed and described Indian society, culture and administration in different periods of history. Their writings give us valuable historical evidence about the past. Let us begin. Through the eyes of travelers. Why do you think people traveled? Women and men traveled for many reasons: searching for work, escaping natural disasters, as traders or merchants, as soldiers, priests, or pilgrims, or say for adventure. When they reached new places, they found differences in customs and traditions, landscape, languages, belief, and practices. Most travelers adjusted to new conditions. Some travelers carefully recorded what they found unusual or remarkable. Travel accounts and their limitation. Very few travel accounts written by women survive, but we know women also travel. Travel writings we have discussed different topics like royal court matters, religion, architecture, and monuments. For example, important descriptions of Vijayanagara city written by Abdul Razak Samagandi. Traveling within one's own country. Not all travelers went abroad. In the Mughal Empire, administrators traveled inside the empire. They recorded local customs, folklore, traditions. Travelers studied in this chapter. We are going to study about three travelers who visited India and had an account of our country. They were Al-Biruni, he came from Uzbekistan; Ibn Battuta, he came from Morocco. The last one is Francois Bernier, he came from France. The travel writings help us understand Indian social life. Importance of travelers' perspectives, they came from different cultural backgrounds. So they noticed everyday activities that local ignored. The local writers considered such detailed routine. This difference in viewpoint makes travel accounts valuable historical sources. Audience of these writings varied, sometimes rulers, scholars, or general readers. Now, let us move on to our first unit, Al-Biruni and the Kitab ul Hind. So, let's understand his early life. Al-Biruni, he was born in 973 CE in Khorasan, that is the region famous for education. They call it as center of learning, and because of which he mastered many languages: Syriac, Arabic, Persian, Hebrew, Sanskrit. And he did not know Greek but read philosophy of Plato. Capture of Mahmud. In 1017, invaded by Mahmud of Ghazni, and he was taken to Ghazni, went as hostage, that means prisoner, stayed there till death. His interest in India, studied Indian text in Ghazni. When Punjab became part of empire, cultural contact grew. He learned Sanskrit from Brahmana scholars, studied religion and philosophy, and he traveled northern part of India. Travel literature context. Travel writing popular in Arabic world, covered lands like Sahara Desert, Volga River. His work known abroad more than India. The Kitab ul Hind. What is the nature of work? Major work written in Arabic, clear and simple style. It had 80 chapters, and the topics covered religion, philosophy, astronomy, alchemy, that is early chemistry, customs, social life, measurements. Chapter structure: questions asked, explained through Sanskrit tradition, compared with other cultures, precisions influenced by mathematics. What was the purpose? Written for border region readers, criticized poor translation, tried improving quality. So that is all about our traveler Al-Biruni. Let's see the quick summary of him. Al-Biruni, a highly educated scholar from Khorasan, was taken to Ghazni after Mahmud's invasion. There he developed interest in Indian knowledge, learned Sanskrit, and traveled in Punjab and northern part of India. His book Kitab ul Hind systematically described Indian religion, science, customs, and society through an analytical method of questioning, explaining, and comparing cultures. Because of its structured approach and cross cultural understanding, it remains an important historical source. Now, let's move on to the next unit. And our next writer or the traveler, we call it as Ibn Battuta, an early globetrotter. What is globetrotter? A person who travels to many countries around the world. Background and education. He wrote travel book Rila, that means journey or travel. He was born in Tangier in Morocco. Family respected for expertise in Sharia. Sharia, that means Islamic religious Sharia. Sharia, that means Islamic religious law. Received strong literary and scholarly education. Love for travel. He valued knowledge from travel more than books. Traveled widely before India. Pilgrimage to Mecca, Syria, Iraq, Persia, Yemen, Oman, East African trading ports. Arrival in India. He reached Sindh in the year 1333, heard of Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq, travelled through Multan and Uch, appointed as Qazi, that means judge, in Delhi, later imprisoned and then released, sent as envoy to China in the year 1342. What do you mean by the word envoy? Official representative. Travels after appointment. Travelled to Malabar Coast, Maldives, where he was appointed as Qazi for 18 months. Then he travelled to Sri Lanka, Bengal, Assam, Sumatra, Quanzhou. Then he travelled to Beijing and he returned home 1347. Often he was compared with traveller Marco Polo from Venice. Nature of travel. Travel was slow, arduous, very difficult or tiring, hazardous, that is dangerous. And for example, the time taken to reach from Multan to Delhi it took 40 days, from Sindh to Delhi it took 50 days. Caravan attacked by robbers. What do you mean by the word caravan? Group traveling together. Enjoyment of curiosity. He traveled across Africa, Asia, India, China. He was called as inveterate traveler, that means habitual traveler. On return to Morocco, his ruler ordered recording of stories, and was the result of Riala. Riala is the travel book written by Ibn Battuta. So the summary of Ibn Battuta: he was a Moroccan traveler, journeyed across Africa and Asia, and served as Qazi in Delhi. His travel book Rila gives detailed insights into social and cultural life of the 14th century. His extensive journeys and careful observations make his writings valuable historical sources despite the hardship and dangers of medieval travel. Now let's move on to the unit 3, Francois Bernier, a doctor with a difference. Now, let's first understand the European travelers who visited India. Arrival of Europeans around 1500 or say 1500. Europeans reached India after Portugal opened sea roads. Portuguese travelers wrote about Indian social customs and religious practices. For example, Roberto Nobili translated Indian text into European languages. The next comes Duarte Barbosa. He wrote about South Indian trade and society. After 1600, travelers came from Dutch, English, and French regions. John Baptiste Tavernet visited India 6 times, studied trade, and compared with Iran and Ottoman. The next comes Niccolò Manocci. He stayed permanently in India. Now let's talk about Francois Bernier. our traveler who visited India. He was a French doctor, philosopher, and historian. He stayed in Mohal, India, 1656 to 1668. What were his connections? He was a physician and he was a doctor to Dhara Shikoh, and he was the son of Shah Jahan. Later worked with Danishmand Khan, comparing East and West. Bernier traveled across India, compared India with Europe, dedicated work to Louis XIV. His view, often negative towards India, historians say his judgment not always accurate. Popularity of Bernier's writing. Now, if you're going to talk about his popularity of Bernier's writing, published in France 1670 to 71, it was translated into many languages. It was also reprinted many times and got very popular. The contrast, Arabic or Persian travel accounts reminded handwritten, not widely printed before 1800s. Now, what is the summary? That is, we are done with this man, Francois Bernier. Let's just study the summary, quick summary. Francois Bernier was a French doctor who lived in Mohal, India for 12 years and closely observed court and society. His writings compared India with Europe and gained popularity in Europe through printing and translation. Francois Bernier, though sometimes biased, his accounts remain valuable historical sources for understanding Mohal, India. With this, we have completed Unit 3 of the lesson through the eyes of travelers. In this video, we explored the accounts of Al-Biruni, Ibn Battuta, and Francois Bernier, and understood how their observation helped us study India's past. We will continue with the remaining portions of the chapter in the next video. Until then, I request all of you to revise this lesson through this video and practice answering the board-based 8-mark questions. Thank you, and I will see you in the next session.